Former TV news anchor Kari Lake has won the Republican primary for Arizona's governor. She beat out lawyer Karen Taylor Robson, who conceded last night. Former President Trump backed Mrs. Lake, while Taylor Robson counted on the support of the former Vice President Mike Pence and the current Arizona governor, Doug Ducey. CBS News political director Fen Gomez is covering the Arizona primary for us and other races around the country. So, Fen, let's start off with Kari Lake's win. So, former news anchor, notoriously combative when you ask her why she believes the election was stolen, because, of course, there's no proof of that. But listen, she got the endorsement of Mr. Trump. It was kind of tight, but she won. What are her chances in the general?
Well, that's the thing. As you said, David, she is someone who basically was fueled by Trump's endorsement, and it was enough to overcome the establishment endorsement or endorsed candidate of Karen Taylor Robson, who was also backed by Mike Pence, and who also spent upwards of $15 million in that race. But Kari Lake is someone who will be faced, who now, after she was declared the winner yesterday, will be facing Katie Hobbs, who is the Democrat in that race. And it's actually supposed to be one of the most hardest fought battles in November. So we're looking at probably a pretty close race there. She's got a lot of momentum coming out of this primary now, and obviously the backing of Donald Trump. But Arizona is very much a purple state. As you know, in the last election, it became blue from formerly being deeply red. So it should be a pretty competitive race, David.
Finn, jumping over to Nevada, the Senate race there, who's leading?
Well, this is a really interesting race. I am here in Las Vegas, where we have seen one of the most watched Senate races of this election cycle between Adam Laxalt, the Republican, who's challenging the incumbent Democrat, Catherine Cortez Masto. The latest polling from Emerson College and our local affiliate here has them in a neck-to-neck. It's basically like 3 or 4 points of a race difference between the two. It's going to be a tough one. Nevada is notoriously a very tough state to campaign in, but it's something that if you just look at the ads that in the few days that I've been here, it's been, you've seen just the local market's just been inundated with these ads. There's a lot of money being spent here. It's going to be a tough race, and the balance of the Senate could be basically be based on the outcome of this race. So it's one where we're watching it intensely. It's also one that this state, in particular, Nevada, is also a big battleground state in 2024. Mm-hmm. So it really is a precursor for what is to come.
Let's talk about Wisconsin, Finn. So you got another race for governor where essentially you have candidates, one backed by the former Vice President Pence, one backed by the former President Trump. Tell us about that.
Right, David. So yeah, in this battleground state of Wisconsin, another race, another state that has a big 2024 implications. Donald Trump, there's another proxy battle between Donald Trump and his former Vice President Mike Pence, as you said. Trump has backed Tim Michels, while Pence has backed former Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Kleefisch in the GOP primary for governor. The primary is next Tuesday, August 9th. This will be the third time that Trump and Pence have split on a gubernatorial primary this season. In Georgia, Pence backed Brian Kemp, who won decisively. And of course, Trump endorsed Kari Lake in Arizona. And as you know, she also won in that race. Trump is holding a rally tonight in Waukesha, Wisconsin for Michels. And David, whoever wins will face the Democratic incumbent Governor Tony Evers. It is also what is expected to be one of the hardest fought elections in the country.
A big race indeed. Finn, the Conservative Political Action Conference kicked off in Dallas yesterday. Who have we heard from so far, and who else is attending?
Yeah, so this is a conference that happens now a couple times a year. The last one was in Florida. This one is in Texas, in Dallas, Texas. And we've heard from conservatives, national conservatives from all over the country have come to the summit to speak to essentially a big part of this audience here is Trump's MAGA base. But one of the most interesting speeches that we have heard, the most interesting and controversial speeches that we have heard, frankly, has been from the Hungarian Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. Now, Orban is someone who has received a lot of controversy for recently saying that Hungarians, quote, do not want to become peoples of mixed race, which has elicited a lot of criticism in the EU, but also here in the United States. Orban, he actually, he alluded to that, who said, essentially saying that Christians cannot be racist, but he did not specifically speak about that. He did get a standing ovation, according to local reports, when he read from the Hungarian constitution, declaring marriage to be only between one man and one woman. And he said, quote, less drag queens and more Chuck Norris. And he received a standing ovation for that response. CPAC also held its first conference in Hungary in May. And also Orban, who Trump has called a friend, met with the former president in New Jersey just this past week. Trump will also be keynoting at this conference. He'll be speaking there on Saturday.
All right, Finn Gomez, thank you there from Nevada.
Thanks, guys.